Ride with me, don't gotta worry for the both of us. Don't gotta worry for the both of us.
Welcome back to another Ranger build video. Today we're going to be tackling this mighty wheel poke. So I've been driving the car for about 4 or 5 weeks now. I've probably put about 6,000 kilometers on it. And I thought I'd get away with not having flares for a little bit longer, hopefully like after the Christmas holidays and stuff. But basically, the amount of poke that it has is basically taking the piss.
So unfortunately, I'm gonna have to give you a defect notice today.
The car's brand new.
It looks tough, but it's just not, for what it is, it's just so ridiculous. It just doesn't make sense. So basically, I hit up EGR and I didn't want to wait the 5 to 6 weeks. So I was like trying to find like maybe someone who had them in stock, and someone directed me to EGR directly, and apparently they occasionally stock certain colors. Shot them an email and they replied within like 20 minutes and just said, yep, we got one more pair of aluminium in stock, so if you want to pick them up now, just get your order in super quick and we'll send them out. So basically I did that and they were shipped the next day. Basically a week later they're here. So a couple of days before Christmas I thought, we're going away over the Christmas break, so don't need a highway patrol picking on me for having mad wheel poke, so I'm going to do these flares before we go away. It just makes sense. They're here now. I've got no excuse, so let's open up the box and take a look at what we got. Now I have opened the box and like literally lifted the box up. I haven't actually gone through it. But basically, this is what you receive from EGR. You don't receive this. We're also going to cover this in this video. This is the Pro Fender sway bar link. So I've been waiting probably 4 or 5 weeks for these to rock up. They were supposed to rock up with the lift kit and that, and they didn't. So basically we'll install the front sway bar links while we're there. Set them there for now. And then basically, let's find one of these. We have our flares. So I did unravel this one just to make sure they're the right color, because being Christmas, I didn't want to have to try to call them. Hopefully that rain's not too loud, because it's just started pissing down here and it's very loud, but I have the mics on, so basically this is what you receive straight from EGR. So they're a 35mm flare, so you get a little bit more. Obviously it's not going to fully cover the wheel poke, but it'll make it much more suitable. So basically I had a quick look on YouTube and I didn't see any videos detailing how to install these. So I'm just going to run you guys through installing them and any complications we come with, and then we'll show you the finished product on the ute, because I think this will definitely change how the ute looks. It'll take some of the aggressiveness away, but I think it'll make it look a lot better and a much cleaner look. And maybe it'll make it look like a $90,000 ute instead of a bush pig, basically. Because it really isn't a bush pig. I mean, it's gotten its fair share of scratches already, but it's not hardcore four-wheel drive, that's for sure. So straight out of the box, EGR provide a detailed instruction kit, which is pretty good. Expert fitment required. I'm an expert, not in fitting flares, but I'm an expert. Basically, the instructions look really good, which normally I would throw these away, but this ute's a little bit expensive just to completely destroy it and just hack job it. So basically, I'm just having a quick look through the instructions now. Looks like we remove the factory flare, which is obvious. I already started doing it, basically with the wheel, because the wheel rubs on it already, so that's great. But basically got like 6 clips left in it. Basically we're removing those clips and removing the front parking sensors. Looks like to the where we're going to start, so we'll start with that, and then we're going to move along about cleaning them and getting ready for the rubber seals, priming the surface for the seals to be stuck down, because the EGR flares, they do clip into the factory location where this one clips into, and then they have the rubber seal that seals between the paint and the flare. We'll start by removing this plastic trim. Basically, what you should be doing is using a trim removal toolkit. So much easier. I had one, but I haven't seen it for years. I don't know what happened to it. I used to use it all the time when doing like sound systems and stuff. But basically get one of them on eBay. They're super cheap. Don't use flatheads and all that. These ones are supposed to be Phillips head screws, but I don't know, they're just such a terrible design. I can never, half of them never wind out. Half wind out, half don't. It just never works, so I just pop them off with a flathead. Not the correct way to do it. Bit of a hack, but these ones do pop off. But again, a trim removal tool will be way better and you're less likely to damage anything. So if you can get one of them, definitely go ahead and use it. Finally got all these scrivets out of the car. Stupidest thing ever. These ones, okay, the old pop the clip out there and then pop that bit out, so much better. But the scrivets, they can get stuffed. They suck. So now instructions say that there's a Torx bit underneath the front and rear of these plastic flares. So we're going to find them now. Here, where we cut in the last video, here there's usually a Torx bit here, but there's nothing there because we cut it off. Then you come along here and you can see one Torx bit here holding it on. So that's still there. Basically, we'll undo that and then we'll undo the parking sensor. Right. So I've just popped this back here after I undo the screw, and I can reach in and remove the plug for the parking sensor. And now I should be right just to pop all the clips along. It does say that these will break the clips and potentially this plastic flare, so you will need to like buy new ones of these and new clips if you wanted to refit the factory ones. But it's unlikely that even if I did sell this car and I didn't sell with these big wheels, people would want the flares removed. You would just you know, put a different size tyre or something on it. Like most people don't run the standard wheels and tyres, so they probably wouldn't mind having a flare on anyway, and it sets it apart from other cars. So I'm not too stressed at all anyway. I need to have flares on the car obviously, so pop this off without damaging everything. I think that was the clips they were talking about. Ooh. There is probably a way, like I'm sure Ford have a way of getting them off without breaking all those plastic clips. But basically, no, the flare doesn't break, so the flare's still good. So you could just get these new panel clips. Any body shop would have these panel clips probably in stock. If not, you can just order them from Ford and you could clip it back on. Oh, actually, we did break one. So we did break one bit on the center. But otherwise, all the other clips are good. And if you really want to just chuck this back on, it's a bit of sticker flexing. Is that? You probably don't do that, but it'd work. Trust me. I know. Get rid of this. This is probably like $100, so I'm not going to throw it. Whoa, that was a bit scary. But basically now we just have to remove all the retention clips. So I've got my flare back again because I forgot to take the sensor out. So basically unplug it, take it off, then you're meant to remove the sensor. So basically that just 2 clips on the back and it slides out. That's your little parking sensor. Be careful with that. I don't know how expensive they are. They're probably, they might not be too bad because almost every car has them, but obviously we care about that. We'll be reusing it in the new flare, so basically get rid of that. This is probably like $100, so I'm not going to throw it. And our new flare. We've unwrapped. We're just going to sit it on here to see how much better it's going to sit and look. Something like that. So first, you're just going to wash the area that you're going to be applying it. My car's absolutely filthy at the moment, but there was no point washing it. I live on a dirt road, so there's no point washing it before doing this. So just a bit of water and a microfiber. Oh, washed it on there, then wipe it down with the microfiber. Just make sure the surface is nice and clean, and then wipe it dry with a dry microfiber. Next step is to take the automotive surface cleaner wipes, is what they call them. It's just basically a wet wipe, and clean the surface of the fender flare. So just 10 mil in, underneath is where the adhesive sticks to. So I don't know if I said this before, but the adhesive doesn't stick to the fender. So we were cleaning the actual guard. We were cleaning the guard so there was a nice clean surface for this to seat up against and the rubber seal to sit up against. Now we're cleaning the edge of the fender flare to be able to adhere the 3M adhesive to the fender itself. So it like wraps around in a bit of a Z shape. So we just wipe it down with the alcohol wipe to begin with. And that dries, and then they give us a tape primer, light yellow tape primer, which you can just buy from 3M. And we need to put that on there. So we'll tip this upside down and make it a bit easier. I can hold that like that, and then just make our way along this edge. Basically, we'll sit this back down on the chair, and you basically have to peel this off and slowly apply it along the flare. So now we'll do that, and this kind of like slides over it, goes over the edge of the flare, hooks around, and then the 3M tape just holds it right on there. So you start with a 50mm bit there, and you stick that on, and then you slowly just peel the red stuff back, the protective, and just push it over like that. As you make your way along the flare, it's actually quite difficult, so just take your time and push it over there and make sure you get it all nice and neat and it's sticking well. Last thing you want is this stuff coming off. So basically we've ran it the whole way along here, as you've seen. Now we cut little triangles out of here around the really tight curved radius bit for the end of the flare, and that just allows it to basically follow the contour better and not like wave up and look messy, so it still looks nice on this side. Basically, you're not doing this by yourself. Definitely not easy to do by yourself. Just get a mate, and yeah. So if you look here, there is these holes here, and we have these little U-nuts, I think they're called. You basically push the plastic in, and then you slide the U-nut over the fender, guard, fender, whatever you want to call it. So you push that in, clips in like that. That basically becomes the nut that the screw for the flare will screw to for the there, like that. There's 4 of them. Let's do that all the way along. Like that. Try not to block the camera. So now we just make sure the rubber seal is outside in all the places it needs to be.
Till I get up, time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust.
So straight away you can see it is a massive improvement on how much it sticks out. If you look closely down there, you can see it. The wheel stuck out a lot. Now it sticks out. Still a bit, like, still definitely not ideal. I mean, it looks ideal. I'm happy with it. But, you know, the boys in blue might not be so happy about it. But, yeah, it looks good so far. That's the first half. As you can see, the seal sits along down there. Nice and neat. Got screws here. There's 4 screws along there. Then usually the stock mud flap would clip into here and here as well. We don't have them, we remove them because the wheel rubs. And I thought that I wouldn't, once I installed these, I wouldn't have to cut anything and it wouldn't grab here anymore. But it looks like I'm gonna have to trim this off here as well, which is a little bit annoying, but that's what you get when you wanna run 35s. So yeah, we have to now do the little section here with the sensor. So we're going to work out how the sensor goes into that little flare and put that on, and that's the first corner done. There'll be still only 1 down, 3 to go. Okay, next step, white clips. They literally just push in. The instructions are very clear, so if you can't install these by the instructions, you probably shouldn't be installing them on your car yourself.
Oh, English side ruined. Must use French instructions. Le grill? What the hell is that?
And that's that step done. Then we're going to get our small half, and I'm going to put it does say to like install it on the car and that first, but I feel like it's going to be easier to put the sensor in, just like the stock one, in here first before trying to fit it to the car. So I'm going to do that now, and then we'll fit it on the car. Look at that silver, honestly. Definitely a colour I'm saving in case I want to paint a car. So much metallic. So now we are putting together the little foam parking sensor housings to suit the big things. So it does actually come with them, found them in the box. A bunch of plastic parts and some foam bits with some caps. Interesting. Like a little holder. And little screws. Must screw in somehow. Basically, you have to get these little foam bits. There's 2 of them. You get the 2 foam bits, and you basically punch the centers out to start with. You don't need the centers in there. They're just there. You take them out. Peel back the adhesive. Sit that there. Do that to both. And oh no, do not tip the space upside down. Then basically just join them together like that, and then they go inside this. You slide that into there, and just like that. Step 1 sits in there, creates a cushion. Then you get a little semi-moon shaped thing. Same thing, take the bit that you're not going to use out of the center here and peel the plastic off. And basically you got this little plastic cap, and that just literally goes on there like that. It sticks on like that, and then you've got these 2 parts. See, this slides into here like that, sits in there nicely like that, and then there's this locking ring that you slide over the back, which holds it. So you just do that loosely, and then I believe once it's in the car, you line up the plug and the sensor in the car, so it lines up nicely where the factory wiring is, and basically then you can do that tight, and then this like mounts it and holds it nice and tight, and the 2 screws come from top and bottom to really hold it in there without it moving. Yeah, now this is ready to go on the car. Just like that, the front half of the flare is fitted up with the parking sensor in, and it's just held on by what's supposed to be 4 screws, but we don't have this one here again. So 1, 2, 3. It's not as sturdy. This one's like dead solid. This one's not quite as sturdy. Yeah. And to be honest, the fitment here is pretty average. Like, it's not consistent. It looks okay on camera. It's closer here than it is here. We did some overlap in there, but we're going to cut that out because it doesn't look that good. But hopefully, eventually, I'll put a bull bar on the front of this thing, and we can just get rid of this, because I really don't like that part of it. I think with a bull bar, and then you have that, I think is probably the go, but it'll do for now. Keep the boys in blue a little bit happier. That is 1 of 4. And it's like 10 o'clock at night, and really can't be bothered. So I think what we're going to do is quickly slap the other side on there off camera. I need to drive the car tomorrow, so I will slap the other side on there because we know what we're doing, and we'll leave this, and I'll finish that in the next couple of days. So yeah, basically we'll see you when we're tackling the rear and the Pro Fender sway bar links, which we'll also tackle in this video. But basically that's how you get the front one on. it takes way longer than you think. So if you think it's going to take an hour, allow 3 hours, because it's just one of those finicky jobs, and you try to get it right, make it look nice. But
We'll ever trust, yeah. No, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on.
so we had to remove the bottom half of the flares again and cut a section out of the bottom, just like we did on the factory flares to suit these wheels. I was hoping that these flares would give more room, but they actually gave less room. And it looks like in the rear, we'll have to cut this off the same, so, which is a little bit annoying, but it is what it is. I was kind of hoping I wouldn't have to with these flares, because they'd be kind of allowing for it more, but no, they're definitely stronger there. So, but yeah. Anyway, we've cut these now. We're just putting them back on. It's like 11:30. So we'll see you in a minute when we're doing the rear. It's another beautiful summer's day. I flipped the car around and we're ready to get stuck into doing the rear flares. Super happy with how the front turned out. Still super aggressive, but just way more subtle. And yeah, really keen to get the matching set on, just so the car doesn't look so silly. And I can really just take the thing away and enjoy it. So enough talking, and let's get straight into it. So to get started, much like the front, we need to begin by removing the front mud flap. Is what they refer to it as, is this little flap here. There's a bolt underneath and 2 skivets in the front. Then we need to go on to removing the back mud flap, which is about 6 skivets. So we're gonna get stuck straight into that. Again, very in-depth instructions come with this. I'll say it again, if you can't look at these instructions and do this, you probably shouldn't be doing it. You should probably take it to EGR or someone else that can actually fit these flares. They are very straightforward. But yeah, you know, with these instructions, I would suggest anyone can do it, but if you're really struggling, then you probably shouldn't, especially on a car that's worth this much. It's just not worth it, because you want to do some stuff properly. At the end of the day, you stuff it up and you're just devaluing your own car. And if you stuff it up, you're gonna have to pay someone to do it anyway, so, or fix what you stuffed up.
We'll go through the wastelands, through the highways.
So I'm not sure what I'm going to do with these, whether I'm going to fit some aftermarket mud flaps or if I'm going to refit these and maybe even slot the holes just to bring it out a little bit wider, just to stop some of the rocks. But we'll work that out once the new flare's on. Funny enough, the instructions, even though they're in depth, they never mention the screw nuts that are holding the flare on here. In the front, they did mention them when you remove it. In the rear, it just says pull the flare off. So you do actually have, on the wild track at least, still screw nuts in there that you have to remove before you can go ahead and just yank this off the car. So just keep that in mind when you're going to do it. It does say just rip it off, but there is screw nuts the whole way around that definitely just hold this flare on. So just make sure you're all over that.
Finding life along the way, melodies we haven't played.
Gotta wash where everything's gonna make contact underneath the flare and where the rubber seal will sit. So I'll show you up close, because I don't know if this is right, but you gotta put, it's not super clear where the anti-abrasion sticker is, but if you look carefully there is a clear anti-abrasion film, basically. You just stick that on. I kind of went off the diagram, it looked like it was slightly above these 2 holes, but yeah, it's not super clear, but hopefully that's good enough. I'm not too concerned. I'm assuming if it's the stopping the flare from rubbing on here, I want to PPF this whole thing, because stones and that, it's just on the beach, it's going to be terrible for that kind of stuff. But at the same time, I really want to do a tray on this one day. But it's, you know, $6,000 or $7,000 for a tray. And once you do the tray, you got to put the canopy on, which you spend a few grand on the canopy. But ideally, that's the end goal, is eventually do that. I want to try a tub rack setup. Right, back to the flare install. We are up to fitting the, so we've done this, we put the anti-abrasion sticker on. We are now got to fit the rubber mold to the flare, same as what we did in the front. So I'll do that in a time lapse and get that on there, same as that. Cut the triangle, same as we did in the front, to curve it around the edge of the flare, and then basically we're up to putting the U-nuts in and screwing the flare on to the car. So it's really not too long of a process, but at the end of the day, you allow about an hour to do it on one side for your first time, about half an hour for the second time. So there's still 3 hours work easily, but obviously you take everything slightly, you're a little bit more careful with everything because of how expensive the car is, but yeah, it is what it is. Hopefully you can hear me because it is raining a lot outside at the moment, but I've just put this cardboard down for the box and the flares, put the flare in here. I'm going to try to show you the process in a way of how to run the rubber around the outside of the flare. Hopefully I can show it good enough. So the hardest part about this is not scratching the flare while you're maneuvering it around, trying to clean it and apply the rubber seal. So I'm going to try to be nice and smooth and fluent in the process of doing this. Just like the front, we push the 4 U-nuts over on these spots here. So slide that in like that. That one. A little trick with putting these U-bolts on is push the plastic liner behind the steel, push that up and then slide on. Make it go on way easier. But 4 U-nuts on there, and then you want 3 screws, and we're going to fit the flare using these 3 to begin with. Definitely much easier to get someone to help just for 2 minutes, literally 2 minutes. Drag them out to the shed, whatever, whoever it is, doesn't matter. Someone, all I have to do is apply pressure to this, so you can then hold it there, so you can line up the first couple of screws, and then once you've got one in, it's like, yeah, it's easy. The rest is easy. Basically, no. Those 3 screws in, and that's what our fender flare is going to look like. Basically installed. So now we're just putting the rear mud flap back on, the front mud flap and the rubber grommet. And just like that, the Ranger is much more respectable and closer to legal. It still has that aggressive stance, but yeah, way less cop bait. As you can see, the tires still poke out a little bit, but in my opinion, it is perfect. So we could have gone with bigger flares, but we went with the 35 mil, so we still got a little bit of poke, but it's not 60 mil of poke, so it is much, much better. I'm stoked with how the car looks. I just need to get the rest sorted so that the car sits a little bit more level, because it does have a little bit of front rake now, but I know that I went with the heavier duty springs in the rear. So we could put a rooftop tent and 12 volt and fridge and all that stuff set up in the rear. So you can look forward to that video, because that is coming in 2025. It is New Year's Eve. We're about to head off for our New Year's celebrations, and then we're getting on the road and heading to South Australia. So one last thing I have to do before I end this video is install our Pro Fender sway bar links, which I still haven't done because I really wanted to get the flares done first. So this is the QR code that I was talking about. As you can see, it's an installation guide, but when you open it up, same thing. Most of it's in a different language. Some beefy sway bar links. Basically, I don't have any sway bar links now because I know the stock ones break. I'm hoping that I can do it while the car's on the ground. And with the car on the ground, the suspension is under load, so I can set the sway bar links accordingly and install them, and hopefully that's all good. Get in under here. With the big wheels and the lift, there's plenty of room to get under the car and move around. Obviously, unlike working on drift cars, there's plenty of clearance to roll around on a trolley underneath. So that's what I'll be doing. I'm not going to put it on the hoist. It's just not worth the time and effort. when it can just be done here. So as you can see, I've sat the pro fender link in there and I've just roughly wound it out to where it needs to be. I'll try to keep the sway bar neutral. Now, that's because most of my driving is going to be on the road. I'm not going to be hard forward driving this. If you're worried about getting, like, if you want more articulation, then you might actually lengthen these a little bit and have a little bit downwards on the sway bar, a little bit down. But otherwise, you want these as level as possible. You want this as level as possible. I'll double check it all. I've just set it in there now, looking pretty good. And I've just slapped this side in as well. Basically just sat them in there for now. Now I'll set the locking nut, so I'll wind these out to, oh, it's a bit tight. I'll wind this out to there. Same with that one, when I got two hands. And I will then take them back out of the car. Just double check the lengths, just make sure they're very close to the same length. And then I'll put them back in the car. And it's really simple, it's just a washer and a nylock there, and a washer and nylock on that side, which I don't know if I'll be able to get to due to the wheel. So I had to take the wheel off. I've just done that to get to this. I can get it on with my finger, but you can't really do it up very easily, and you need to be able to hold this with the Allen key. So basically you do have to take the front wheels off, which is a pain, but put a jack and some stands under just to be safe. But yeah, so now I'll do this one up, and then I'll put the, well, I've already set the length, so it doesn't really matter now. I have set the length and locked these in. 175 mil is where it sits. So it says between 190 mil, but yeah, 175 mil is where it looks comfortably, like where I've got it sitting for now. Can always adjust it. That's the whole point of adjustable sway bar links. We're going to put them there, and I'm going to do this one up, and then yeah, put the car back on the ground. We'll be done. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and we'll see you in the next one. And if not the next one, we'll see you in the next Ranger video, which will be the tub rack and sorting out the 12 volt setup. So can't wait to do that. It will be a little while because we've got to get back onto the M43 turbo, and I know a heap of you are waiting for that. We are going to get stuck into that. Still working on the ECU problem in the background, but it is sitting there waiting, all sitting beautifully, waiting for us to get back to work. So